The Servant Girl Annihilator, a true story of Austin's forgotten terror. In 1884 and 1885, Austin, Texas, was a burgeoning frontier town gripped by a wave of savage murders that targeted women, particularly black servant girls, in their homes. Known as the Servant Girl Annihilator, this shadowy killer bludgeoned and stabbed his victims with axes, knives, and even iron rods, striking under the cover of night and leaving a city in panic. At least 8 women were killed, their bodies often mutilated. Yet the perpetrator vanished without a trace, leaving behind a mystery that predates Jack the Ripper and remains unsolved. Who was this brutal predator, and why did Austin's first serial killer fade into obscurity? The Servant Girl Annihilator case is a chilling chapter of American history, buried in the shadows of a growing city's past. The horror began on December 30th, 1884, in Austin, then a small capital with dirt roads and gaslit streets. Molly Smith, a 25-year-old black servant, was found dead in her employer's backyard, her head split open by an axe and her body stabbed repeatedly. The attack was frenzied, with blood soaking the snow-covered ground. Her partner, Walter Hall, was injured but survived, unable to identify the assailant. Police assumed a personal dispute, but no arrests were made. The killings continued with terrifying regularity. In May 1885, Eliza Shelley, another black servant, was hacked to death in her bed, her children asleep nearby. Weeks later, Irene Cross was slashed so violently her head nearly detached. By August, Rebecca Ramey was attacked, surviving, but her daughter Mary was killed with an iron rod driven through her skull. In September, Gracie Vance was bludgeoned and stabbed, her body dragged outside. The final 3 murders struck white women: Eula Phillips and Susan Hancock, killed in December 1885, and Jimmy Phillips, Eula's husband, found dead beside her. Each crime bore a similar hallmark: extreme violence, often with an axe or knife and no clear motive. Austin was consumed by fear. Women locked their doors, and vigilante groups patrolled the streets. The killer targeted servant quarters or modest homes, slipping in and out undetected, often on moonless nights. The victims, mostly black women working for wealthy families, were vulnerable, and the racial dynamics of post-Civil War Texas meant their deaths were initially downplayed. The press, however, sensationalized the murders, coining the Servant Girl Annihilator moniker and speculating about a midnight assassin with almost supernatural stealth. The police, ill-equipped for a serial killer, chased flimsy leads. Suspects included Walter Hall, Molly's partner, and other black men tied to the victims. But evidence was lacking, and racial bias tainted the investigations. A promising lead emerged with Nathan Elgin, a black cook with a violent history, killed by police in 1886 after attacking a woman. His foot matched a bloody print at one crime scene, but no definitive proof linked him to the murders. Another theory pointed to James Phillips, Eula's brother-in-law, convicted of her murder but later acquitted on appeal, as his wife's death seemed staged to mimic the Annihilator's style. The case's eerie details fueled speculation. The killer often used weapons found at the scene, an axe from a shed, a knife from a kitchen, suggesting chilling opportunism. Some victims were posed or mutilated, hinting at a sexual or ritualistic drive, though no assaults were confirmed. Footprints and blood trails suggested a single assailant, but the lack of witnesses or fingerprints, forensic science was rudimentary, left police grasping. Some speculated the killer was a transient, possibly a sailor or railroad worker, passing through Austin's growing hub. Others whispered of a prominent citizen, shielded by wealth or influence. The murders stopped abruptly after December 1885, with no explanation. Was the killer caught for another crime, killed, or did they simply move on? The case faded as Austin modernized, overshadowed by London's Jack the Ripper in 1888, whose similar methods led some to theorize a connection, though no evidence supports it. The victims, mostly marginalized women, were largely forgotten, their graves unmarked or lost. The investigation yielded no convictions. Hundreds were questioned, but shoddy police work, lost evidence, ignored witnesses, doomed the case. By the 1890s, it was a grim footnote, revived only by historians and true crime enthusiasts. Modern analysis suggests at least 8 murders were linked, with others possibly copycats. DNA testing is impossible, as most evidence was destroyed or never collected. Today, the servant girl Annihilator remains a ghostly figure in Austin's history, with at least 8 victims and no justice served. The city's vibrant streets hide a dark legacy, where a killer roamed free, leaving blood and fear in his wake. Was he a local driven by rage, a drifter fueled by sadism, or a myth born of a chaotic era? The Annihilator's shadow lingers, a silent scream in Austin's forgotten corners. If you enjoyed this videos, follow me, like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. Thank you.